Ladies and gentlemen, Kenya has had several prominent leaders since independence. You talk of the founding fathers, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, Mwangi Gishuru, the eloquent Tom Mboya, you can name them. But during the last 2 decades, we have been presented with the two most obstinate politicians of all times. I'm talking about none other than the charismatic engineer Raila Odinga and the cunning William Samoei Ruto. These two were once political comrades brought about by political circumstances in the year 2007 when they teamed up together to send the former president of Kenya, Mwai Kibaki, home. It did not happen. And since then, they don't see eye to eye. In fact, I have read the activities around Raila Odinga and the activities around William Ruto. They still have unfinished business between them. It is a story of two cities, one at the verge, the other at the brink. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching our channel for the first time, please subscribe and click the notification bell. Kindly don't forget to like our videos and share them. Raila Odinga represents the face of liberation. He, with others who have since gone to rest, fought for the democratic space in Kenya. They fought the dictatorship of the Nyayo era, when during those days no one could do what I'm doing today. You could not sit somewhere that you want to analyze politics and criticize the government. People could not sit in groups discussing the political activities, lest among you could be one of the government NIS looking for someone to arrest, and you could easily be taken to detention without trial. And many youths who today go to the social medias and we have the latitude to even talk about the president, some even insult Raila Odinga, we have the freedom of picketing, the freedom of association, freedom of expression. Some of us do not understand that there are people who paid the price so that we be where we are. But as it is always said, the fruit of democracy is a very unique one. Someone will plant it, another will water it, another person will prune, and when finally the fruit is ripe, another generation will come and enjoy it. And so, ladies and gentlemen, whatever we are enjoying today is as a result of someone's efforts and sweat. But William Ruto is this new kid on the block. He has come with guns blazing, reminding the youths of today that it is high time we sent the old folks home and usher in a new fresh blood of politicians. The question that many are asking, ladies and gentlemen, is whether we have achieved what we wanted. Because when the founding fathers took over power from the colonial masters, they vowed down to fight poverty, disease, and ignorance, among other things. But 60 years down the line, ladies and gentlemen, from where you are, do you think we have done enough? You all know I have the answer. And this is the reason why I want to say that the old folk and the new generation must come together and unite so that we can build Kenya together in Inawezekana. Now, yesterday, Raila Odinga jetted into the country after taking a political sabbatical leave for a week or two. And when he came back, there was one message to the president. He told William Ruto, you have to deliver or I will ask my followers not to pay taxes.
So the national government has a responsibility to carry out certain development projects in all these areas. Otherwise, we'll tell you people to stop paying taxes. Therefore, you don't have to go and beg the national government for you to get any development. It is a right for the people of all these areas.
Now, that statement alone is one that cannot be light to pass. I know many who do not understand Raila Odinga will dismiss it as a mere political talk. But if there is one person who cannot dare to dismiss those sentiments, is none other than William Samoei Ruto, because William understands Raila Odinga. He has learned under the umbrella of Raila when they were together. And so I know very well that wherever they are, they have started sitting down to plan on how to counter Raila Odinga. But one question keeps on coming to mind. Why has Raila continued to be a thorn in the flesh of this government? The administration is barely 2 months into office, but Raila is not giving them a space to breathe. And what does the statement portend to Kenyans, to the international community? Because Kenya is a part of this one global village. I want to believe that Raila is still a bitter man. He still believes that his victory was stolen from him. Before you react, it all depends on which side you are supporting. Because the Kenya Kwanza team believes that William and Rigathi Gachagua won fair and square, but the Azimio supporters still maintain that they recognize Raila as their president. I want to believe that Raila Amolo Odinga wants to provoke William Ruto. Because William, in his own very considered opinion, believes that after the concluded presidential election, he succeeded in finishing Raila and sending him to political oblivion. But Raila is one man who you cannot dismiss just easily. He metamorphosizes and he's come back much rejuvenated. When William Ruto is provoked, because he has proved time and again that he is very easy to provoke, two things will happen. One, you all know that Kenyans have a constitutional duty to pay tax. So when someone instructs part of the country not to pay tax, that one in itself is tantamount to breaking the law. And so what William Ruto will do is that he will set the police against the population who follow Raila Odinga. But the question is, with over 10 million supporters following Raila, who will you arrest and who will you leave? Because Raila Odinga has got supporters who are very loyal, who believe that whatever he says is alpha and omega and they don't go against it. So if he makes good his threats, ladies and gentlemen, that it means that a number of Kenyans will decide not to pay tax. And you all know that William Ruto is going through very tough political times. He has taken a nation that is in ruins. The public coffers are very dry. Many have argued that William Ruto was part of the politicians who were looting the public coffers in the last regime. Yet others still believe, another school of thought, believe that it was the former President Uhuru Kenyatta who participated in embezzling of funds. Whichever way it is, we do not know who took part in this illegal process, but the fact as it stands is Kenya is doing badly economically. So William Ruto would not want to see anybody who threatens not to pay tax, because he will not run the economy without the taxes. So he will start arresting the followers of Raila. And when you do this, there will be unrest. People will be going to the streets again. And if there's someone who is advising Ruto and is listening to me, let Ruto not try to arrest Raila followers. The second thing that William Ruto might do, like I said, declining to pay taxes is tantamount to breaking laws, because it is you have a constitutional duty as a Kenyan to pay taxes. So William Ruto can even decide to go and arrest Raila, because sometimes you arrest the general so that the followers can come down. But what do you think, ladies? I want to pause for a moment and ask you, what do you think can happen if William Ruto decides to arrest Raila? That in itself will be social, political, it will be an unrest, political and social unrest within the country. It will be chaos. And William Ruto is someone who has studied Raila, and I believe that he knows that Raila Amolo Odinga thrives in controversial politics. In fact, if you want Raila to stay calm, give him a very conducive and serene political environment. But if you go very combative, I'm telling you, it is like casting fish in water. That is where Raila enjoys his politics most, because Raila has got a following, some of whom believe that Raila will still liberate them. Raila is the one who will take them out of the shackles of poverty. So in the event that you try to arrest Raila or his followers, then you know what will happen. But then the other question that comes to mind, then what happens if Raila instructs his people not to pay taxes? Because you do not underestimate Raila Odinga. When he starts something, he says something and it looks like it is something that is very trivial, something that will not make impact. But as days go by, gradually you realize that the idea has grown big, and so the administration is very worried. How he is going to handle this will determine his political future. Raila is sending a coded message to the international community. Raila believes that his victory was stolen. And as I said, it all depends from which political divide you are looking at it. Ours is to highlight things the way they are. And Raila believes that his victory was stolen, and he says that the international community was deep inside this calculated plan to ensure that he did not become the president of Kenya. Many Raila followers believed that Raila was denied the presidency because he was not going to dance to their tune. Raila is one person who has always talked about the unity of Africa and East Africa. I want to believe that this is something that our former colonial masters would not want to hear. So Raila wants the international community to understand that even though he didn't ascend to power, he can still command almost half of the nation to do what he wants. In the year 2017, Raila told his supporters not to go to the polling stations and vote, and they stayed home. The ambassadors watched in disbelief how the then coalition, the NASA coalition, told their supporters to stay at home. And when the Ruto went to the polls, they saw the numbers themselves. So Raila wants, it's like I said, he's still in pains, and he wants to send a message to them and tell them that despite the fact that you denied me this opportunity, I still have a following. Together with this could be another plan, just to make sure that when we reach 2027, then Raila will back up someone else, maybe Kalonzo and Martha Karua teaming together, and then they will go to the international community. Because in as much as we have a very coherent constitution, there are several factors that must play in when you want to become the president of this country, and not only Kenya, in Africa as a whole. And one of them is your foreign policy with the foreign masters. They play, especially the East and the West, the Russia, China versus Britain and America. They determine who becomes the president. And depending on where you align yourself, can plunge you into power or bring you down. So maybe Raila is sending this message and telling the whites that we are still here to stay. If you're interested, you can come so that we can forge a kind of a working relationship. I've said here time and again that William Ruto believes that since people did not go to the streets after the polls, after he was declared a winner, he believes that there is peace. He believes that the supporters of Raila Odinga are now tired of him. And contrary to this opinion, ladies and gentlemen, if you walk around and just talk to your friends, because I believe even the Kenyans in diaspora, talk to them and some will tell you that they will still follow Raila Odinga. Even though it looks like he is almost in his political sunset days, but there are people who still follow Raila. Raila is brave, and people like someone who's brave, someone who tells them, let us go this way, and they will go. And so it is like Raila Odinga wants to show William Ruto that my supporters are not yet tired. The other day, William Ruto sent Meguda to try and test waters, because if there is something that William Ruto wants to do, is to make sure that he inherits this political constituency. He wants to start with Nyanza. The only thing that he lacks is the approach to try and inherit. It's difficult to inherit this constituency when Raila is alive and you go the direction of being combative and insulting. It's not working for him. So Raila just wants to let Ruto know that I still have my supporters, and if and when I tell them to go to the streets, because the constitution allows freedom of picketing, freedom of association. So Kenyans can always go to the streets, and very soon I have a feeling that the Azimio supporters, the Azimio fraternity, can just decide that they now want to go to the street to demand the prices of unga to come down. I've talked about prices of unga in every other video, so I want to let it rest on that end. Ladies and gentlemen, it seems like Raila is still consolidating a very formidable force for 2027, because I saw people like Jeremiah Kioni there. Kalonzo Musyoka has been lured to join Ruto. He has declined. Martha Karua has stood her grounds, and it seems this party and this coalition is intact, and they want to see to it that in 2027 they are still together. So he wants to recruit more. Remember, William Ruto compromised some of the members of parliament who were elected under Azimio, the UDM supporters mostly from Northeastern. So Raila, he even condemned them in one of the videos. He condemned this act, and he said that people who are elected on a particular party must be loyal. So Raila is trying to be make a formidable force, a force to reckon with in 2027. No wonder he started by giving those remarks. And by doing this, you must stay politically relevant. And to be politically relevant, you have to talk about the suffering and the predicaments of your people. The last general election was very injurious to Raila Amolo Odinga because they shook hands with the former president Uhuru Kenyatta. Raila could not criticize the very government that he was part of, and as a result, I think this is one of the reasons why some people thought that he was not really talking on their behalf. Raila Odinga, I believe, also just want to test. He's testing his supporters. Can they come out? He's testing the government. What is the worst that they can do? Because I told you, I have watched the activities between Raila Odinga and William Ruto. They are daring each other. Because William Ruto believes that his mode of operation is not like Mwai Kibaki or Uhuru Kenyatta, who left Raila to rock their government. I think he believes that he has a way of dealing with Raila. And when Raila looks at Ruto, he believes that William Ruto cannot match the powers that were there in the one-party state, the Nyayo era, and he fought tooth and nail. So he feels that even though William Ruto thinks that he can deal with him, to him, William Ruto is still a junior in politics. And this is the reason why these two don't see eye to eye. And for the statements that were made, because Raila said that he will give further directions. If you walk around in the street, ladies and gentlemen, and you talk to the Azimio supporters, some of them say that we are waiting for Raila to speak. We are waiting for further directions from him. William Ruto has been presented with the situation. He promised sometimes during campaigns that he will make sure that he finishes Raila. He cannot do this when people are still languishing in poverty, when the unemployment rate is still very high, when the prices of basic commodities are skyrocketing and soaring daily. I indicated that I still want to submit to you, ladies and gentlemen, that the voice of the opposition will be louder than the voice of government. The government will give excuses, but for just a period of time. It will reach a time when people will start demanding for real answers, because this time round, there will be no one to blame. We can blame the previous administration, but who is accountable now is the person we elected, the person who is now sitting and dining in State House. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are political statements that can be made to be true. We are waiting to see what will happen next, and we are following very closely. Thank you for watching until we do another video.